Should we start?
Yes. Let's start.
Sir, you were not here yesterday, and you too, sir. I think you ought to be informed what we discussed more or less. We said that knowledge, as it is now advancing, and many of the scientists are saying, like Bronowski and others, that there is ascent of man only through knowledge. And Achuji pointed out yesterday that knowledge is destroying the world without the religious spirit, without a religious mind. And we were inquiring into this question of what is a religious mind.
So I think the microphone is not working.
All right? Oh Lord. That's where, more or less, where we left off yesterday. I think we ought to go on to it much in detail. What would you consider a religious mind? Neera?
Why don't you sit near?
Good.
Come closer.
Come nearer, sir. We shan't bite each other.
You won't bite me anyway.
I certainly won't bite you. I'm a vegetarian. I do.
Noise.
I know.
Can we have this fan when we have start the No.
Let's get on with it.
Sir, I felt that the place where you left it yesterday was quite a fruitful place. So if I may just use the sentence, at least as I understood it, that the very activity of seeing the right place of knowledge in life is religious life, is living a religious life, which I found to be a very fruitful place, if I understood this rightly. So can we start it from there?
Yes, sir. Start with that.
So the trouble is that with the advancement of technology, knowledge has become diversified, specialized, and with each person having to know a very special kind of know-how and skill. Under such conditions, the mind tends to lose the sense of wholeness. It doesn't need it for the act of survival, for the act of prospering in the world, with the result that this fragmented mind of man is the source of mischief. In the old days, in the Middle Ages, a university was supposed to impart a universalist outlook. Whether it came through religion or it came through academic disciplines, mind was supposed to imbibe through knowledge a universalist perception. Today it is the other way. Today you know the part and you don't see the whole. So knowledge is preventing you from seeing the whole. So I said, is it possible for us to understand the process by which we can regain, or call it, I don't even want to use the word regain because that was traditional, and what we need is totally non-traditional. Whether it is possible for us to glimpse the religious mind.
So
Like,
you said just now that knowledge is preventing a holistic outlook. Holistic in the sense, an outlook that's whole. I wonder if that is so. Or intellect has become so supremely important that has brought about a deep fragmentation, the worship of the intellect, with all its activities. Has that not brought about a sense of breaking up the whole nature of man? I'm just putting that forward to be discussed. Not as a theory, because to me, theories are an abomination, you get nowhere. So, would you accept that? Because intellect implies the whole movement of thought, the cognition through thought, the understanding, when we use that word, the implication is thought has understood what has been said. So, thought, which is the instrument of intellect and so on, thought is essentially being limited, has brought about this cleavage, this fragmentation of man. Thought is not a movement of a religious mind.
You mean that, that's not clear. Yeah, in the sense that thought, you say thought is not the movement of religious mind.
No,
Certainly a
no.
religious mind thinks.
No, just let me explain that. Thought, I said, cannot contain the religious mind. Thought in itself being a fragment, whatever it does will bring about fragmentation. And a religious mind is non-fragmentary. That's what I'm saying. Proceed from that. Kick it around.
Sir, knowledge is essentially transitive. Knowledge insofar as it is mediated by a mind must be essentially considered as transitive. It always wants an object. It is intentional. It must go forth from itself to find an object for itself. And when it does so, naturally it dissects to murder. Thought always dwells on dualities, without which it cannot even live.
That's fragmented, that's limited.
So religious mind must transcend this duality or dualism between thought and object.
So, do you want to go into all this?
Shall I pose it slightly differently?
Also?
Shall I pose it slightly differently, as I understand?
Yes, sir, put it.
For me-
I'm not the chairman, sir. We're all chairman.
For me, the problem is that of being, not being religious or anything. Being, the problem of being, the very being is the problem. And when once you come into being, it is a question of your being among non-beings. Shall he be? And be a peddler of ideas?
Sir, what do you mean by being?
Being,
I don't know what that means.
my own being.
I know. What
Not
do you-
being something.
Huh?
Not being something, I am being.
Sir, what do you mean you're me?
That is all that I can communicate.
No, that doesn't.
So could we discuss this, carrying it from where we left it yesterday? When you say, can one stay with sorrow? I'll bring it, I'll connect it. Now, when you say this, can one stay with sorrow? One and sorrow, I and sorrow, seem to be separate to us. And I have to be in sorrow. We do not seem to perceive, I am sorrow. I am fear. If I am already separate from fear, then I do not think we can ever be with it. This separation of I from what I perceive.
Yes, sir. Therefore, that implies, as the gentleman professor was pointing out, duality. Now I'm questioning whether there is duality at all.
So what do you mean when you question the fact of duality?
I question the very fact of whether duality exists.
No, therefore you're questioning the fact of duality.
We are living in duality. We function
No, because that duality, the opposite may be an illusion.
But as the mind, the thinking process, it is functioning in duality.
You see, sir, if once you say that statement of yours is to me an illusion.
No, I would like to expand this, if I may, a little more, which is, has a fact an opposite?
No, but
Just let me
Sir, when you,
push it around a bit.
when you say thought is a fact,
Thought is a fact. And,
And there's an opposite thought?
what thought has invented, not apart from technological and all that knowledge, illusion. Gods, rituals, and all the business that we consider religious mind is an illusion.
no, but sir,
Illusion being, let me finish. Illusion being the perception through senses with a certain direction, a prejudice, a fixation. That I would, let me finish, just please. So I am saying, we are saying that a fact that is anger, envy, has no opposite.
now sir, I'll pose another question to you. I and you,
Huh?
I and you, which is the very core of duality.
I am angry is duality.
No, leave out anger for the moment. I and you.
I don't understand that.
I and Achyuji. Upul and Achyuji.
Yes.
The separation between us is duality. Now,
Man, woman is a reality. You are short, people is, Achyuji is tall, white and black. And
so I'm
opposite.
not talking of that. The movement in my consciousness of the I and the you, is that factual or is that illusion?
Beat it around, I'll come a little later.
I mean, I really like to question this whole business of duality and fact. We use the word illusion because you're introducing it into us.
I use the word illusion in the sense which I'm using. Sensory perception of external object which is colored, which is distorted by belief, by prejudice, by opinion, by a conclusion. I would call that an illusion.
I'll use a phrase you've used in another context. An object is, my face is observable in the mirror. Achyutji's face is also observable in the mirror. I divide my face with Achyutji's face. There are two. That too is part of consciousness within me. How can you say that the two which is within me is an illusion? The separation which divides us, separation of different names, separation of different personalities, separation, all the separations exist. They have an existence.
Go and discuss it, so join in better.
And it is this separation which brings into being this problem of becoming, which moves away from the being which was mentioned recently. That this movement of becoming, in which all the other processes of comparison, opposite, want, not want, more, less.
What will
Upuji, my difficulty with which I started the question is that the same intellect that makes me see that you and I are two entities also makes me understand that our survival is indivisible, that our well-being is indivisible.
Agree.
This also I can arrive at intellectually.
Agree.
But the more knowledge I have, the more I seem to move away from this fact, which is perceptible to the intellect. But my whole life is a life led away from that. And I say, is it possible for me to devise some form of cognition by which I can hark to that essential, indivisible, inseparable oneness?
Only
This is what I call the religious
the
mind.
only
religious-
problem which I would find in what you're saying is the seed of corruption, which is inherent in this, the fact of growing knowledge, or is it inherent in the very processes of the mind itself?
Now, may I interrupt here? How do you perceive Achuji? How do you see him? How do you observe him? How do you look at him?
You see, Krishnaji, when you ask that question, from all the 30 years of my hearing you, the response comes.
No.
I'm telling you.
May I request, just a minute. Put away all the 30 years repetition, throw it out of the window, and how do you now observe Achuji? What is the process of observation? If that observation is pure, in the sense I'm going to explain what I use when I use the word pure, without any kind of motive distortion, without any prejudice, without nothing between your perception and this object which you perceive. If that, when there is that pure perception, that very perception denies duality.
Sir, you have.
Swallow that pill.
Then there is nothing to be said, sir, because
I'm glad.
But so the difficulty seems to be that am I just being perverse in saying that I don't have this pure perception?
Now, how, that is the problem. Then let's discuss that.
it's not perverse, that is a fact.
Not that there is duality. The whole question to me, there is only fact. A fact has no opposite. If we can examine that, I may be wrong, I may be corrected, I'm willing to be corrected. You follow on all the rest of it. But could we begin from there? But we accept duality. I'm angry, I mustn't be angry.
But in my perception, whatever pure or impure, whatever it is, I see Achuji separate and different.
Which means
from
what? You are conditioned, your perception is conditioned. Obviously.
Yes.
So, can that conditioning be put aside and observed?
Would you then say that so long as there is condition, there is duality? Would you not say
I
that?
would.
So duality is not a fact?
No. It is the conditioning that decides there is duality.
It decides.
It says there is duality.
Can we go into what pure perception, I mean, what is this?
He has used a phrase, put aside. Now, what is implied in put aside?
Do you want to go into all that?
That is the core of the whole thing.
Putting aside implies there is no you to put aside, right?
So putting aside is an illusion.
No. Don't let me use that word put aside. I'll tell you. I'm not dumb yet. So as we discussed yesterday, the perception of what is, sorrow we've talked about, that perception and the moving away from that perception is the continuation of sorrow. That's what we said yesterday. And out of that continuation, which is memory, which is remembrance of an incident which was sorrow, that creates duality. I don't know if you follow what I'm saying. That professor looks rather uncertain. And can the observation be so complete that there is no observer and the thing observed, only observation? And putting away, I mean by that, being aware of this whole movement of moving away from the fact which creates duality, and be aware of this movement, and that very intense awareness wipes away this movement, and there is only pure observation in which there is no duality. I made it myself.
Krishnji, are you saying that in the act of seeing Achaji, that there is an awareness of the very act of making the separateness?
Yes.
In other words, there's that awareness not only of that,
That's
but
right.
of that.
That means your awareness is conditioned by the past and the tradition and all that. Therefore, there is this duality.
Right. But there's awareness of that whole movement.
Yes.
But does what you just said, sir, does that not imply that for me, what you have just said is a theoretical idea?
Now just a minute. Why is it a theoretical idea?
Because it is not my perception.
No. How would you get that perception? Not my perception, perception. You understand? It's not my perception which you are trying to understand, but what it is to perceive. If we could examine that, then perhaps we could go into the question of non-movement in which the non-movement of perception.
Please say that.
Huh?
Non-movement of perception.
Yeah.
You mean a perception that does not move?
Yeah, I don't have to explain, it's very clear.
I'm trying to understand.
Don't put it into your own words. I'm telling you a story, and listen to the story. If you understand the story completely, then you can repeat it in your own words. Right? So let's finish the end of the chapter, or end of the book. We are saying that when there is perception without the observer, then there is no duality. Duality occurs when there is the observer and the observed. The observer is the past, and so through the eyes of the past, the observation takes place, and that creates a duality.
The only pointed question then is, how is the when to be resolved?
Huh?
You say, when there is, when there is,
What? When I
then
can't-
you go on, when there is perception without the observer. You use the word when.
Yes. No, because he says to me, that's a theory.
No, that is why I ask, how is this, I'm not talking about, how is the person to come to a state when the when has ceased, when there is perception?
It seems to me,
Come on. Go on.
Well, I see perception. I'm observing, and I find that my observation is interrupted.
He's interrupted.
And I also know that it's interrupted because I don't have the energy to go on.
I don't quite follow this.
I don't have the energy to be in that state of observation.
Is that the question? That we can then proceed. Why don't you have that energy? Perception doesn't need energy. You just perceive. Go. Let's toss it around.
well, I was wondering, there's something there, in what you were saying that I think we could go into further, is what is, there seems to be a movement where as you're aware of perception, as she says, she loses the energy, but is it losing the energy, or is there a kind of subtle commitment that as I look at Achuji, I'm attached in some way to creating the duality? In other words, I want him to be there so that in some way or other I can go on relating to him as a separate entity. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
In other words, and that seems to me where the energy gets dissipated, because I'm attached to creating him as an object, to something I need. Just the mere presence of him as a duality is somehow or other a drug that satisfies me. And that's where my energy gets diluted.
Please say something.
But sir, in pure observation, there could be no need as such.
Exactly. But I'm talking about what it is that she says that she loses energy. And I think the energy is lost in part because there's a commitment to duality. An attachment to duality.
Not commitment. It's you're brought up, your tradition, your conditioning, your whole outlook is that.
Well, look, it's much easier for me, in some sense, to create the duality, because then I know it's like I know what I'm dealing with.
Yes, yes, yes.
And if I don't,
Still, we have not come to.
I think we memory functioning. We are trained in memory functioning, and memory functioning always is in some way associated with knowledge. And when we have memory functioning and knowledge, duality keeps. Now the difficulty is, as Achyuta has been saying, if you have been trained in memory functioning and knowledge, even though it may be a factual skill, it somehow penetrates into a perception where probably there is no duality.
There's no need for knowledge.
Yeah? Because the memory functioning and the knowledge associated with this is our habitual pattern. And we are so trained in this that the other thing which may be a part of our being, we are strangers to that. Because all the time knowledge is impinging on us and we are functioning with memory. I think that is the problem of the human being who has a lot of knowledge.
Sir.
Why is it that all these are becoming problems to us? Everything is becoming, we are all the time converting facts into problems. Achyuti is there, Krishnaji is there, perception is there, energy is there. And all the time we are asking how to preserve energy, how to have continuous perception. Maybe most of us are even putting the question how to be like Krishnaji. All the time, we are caught up in the world of ideas. We are living in the world of wants. And this is happening because fact is being converted into problems. And this conversion of fact into problem takes place because we are living in the world of ideas.
Memory and knowledge.
Yes, whatever it is. The whole thing, our mind is functioning in the world of ideas. All the time haunted by ideas. I want to be like Krishna. Or I want to have continuous perception. This is haunting us all the time. So with the result that whenever everything becomes a problem, we can't see facts as facts. It is immediately converted into a problem. Maybe, and the problem itself becomes a problem, how to get rid of the problem. So we never remain with anything. We are all the time in the world of duality because this thing is we are haunted all the time. Haunted by ideas, various ideas. And maybe one of the greatest dangers we are facing is probably Krishnaji is becoming a tremendous ideal for all of us. It's quite possible. We are haunted by Krishnaji. It's we are in the sense that this whole thing becomes a problem. We can't look at Krishnaji. And Krishnaji may be coming in the way of our communion with other people too, quite possibly because we are haunted by that idea. We can't look at other human beings. For me, it's quite simple, sir. Because I see we somehow can't remain with the fact because we are haunted by this idea.
Do you mean by idea knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The whole
Yes.
the whole
But
function of
see,
the brain.
the difficulty is you are acquiring knowledge all the time, and knowledge is being converted into memory. And so, what I am suggesting is, in this process, there is duality keeping it. It may be a problem, it may not be a problem. I am not saying that duality is a problem. We are separate from me now. It is not a problem to me.
Yeah, that's all about it.
Yes.
That's all about it.
No, there's something more than that. It doesn't stop there.
Because we convert again into, I don't know why we can't remain with that.
You see,
Achyuti is there, Mr. Narayan is there, we are all here. So
Krishna-
why should all this become a problem?
It is not.
Well, if it is not, then the problem ceases.
no,
I
Krishna,
don't know, sir, it's very simple.
I object to your statement
Yes, sir.
that I am making the problem.
Yes, sir.
What my submission is that placed as I am, I see the indivisibility of human well-being. I see that man can survive only as an indivisible whole. But the ways of my knowledge and the requirements of my daily living are stressing separateness. And separateness is becoming so overpowering that it seems to eclipse my perception that man's well-being is indivisible.
May I say something, sir?
Now I want to ask you a question. Do you think I am making a problem? Because
No,
I am merely stating
No,
to
sir.
you.
When you use the word like indivisibility of man or the wholeness of being or
No, indivisibility.
I think that probably
Excuse
again,
me.
division haunts us.
No, indivisibility of your survival with mine is a fact to me. I know that if you die, I die in this world. That is to say, the entire survival of the human race, the entire well-being of man, my intellect tells me that it is suicidal for man to fragment the problem of well-being, the problem of survival. It's my intellect tells me, it is an absolute fact to me. At the same time, the needs of daily living are stressing fragmentation. And the entire process of acquisition of knowledge equips me with fragmentation. And now I find myself caught in the vice of this contradiction, which is created by the manner in which my knowledge is, I am placed in relation to my knowledge.
I think so, if I may interpret or understand what Krishnamurti is saying, I think if I understand it rightly, he said, why do we make everything into a problem?
Yes.
That's all he is saying.
So what I am trying to submit to him is that the problem is not my creation. The problem is implicit in the human situation.
No,
And to refuse to see this problem, to say there is no problem.
No,
it's
sir.
a kind of...
No, you are repeating, sir. He is saying, why do we reduce everything into a problem? Right, sir?
Yes, precisely.
What is a problem, sir? The meaning of that word? What is
contradiction.
Huh?
A contradiction.
No, the meaning, a problem, is something that you have not resolved, not contradiction, as something that you haven't worked out, something that is bothering you, that's worrying you, that goes on day after day for many years. A problem is something that is not resolved, right?
Yes.
Now he's asking, why don't we resolve something that arises, quote, as a problem immediately, and not carry on and on and on and on? Am I?
Exactly.
Huh?
Exactly the same. This is.
Sir, I would just say something in this connection. What he said is unacceptable. I would say it's all.
I don't know.
I would say it's unacceptable. But there are many other issues involved in it. And the issues are this. The issues are this.
Louder.
The issues are this. That it does not need Krishnaji to tell me that there is a source of energy perception, a source of energy perception which I have not touched.
So,
and that without touching that, this partial solution of the problem is it keeps on existing.
All right.
Keep me within the framework of time for eternity. I will be able to solve it. I have, as I said, bring up 30 years again, I can solve problems. I have no problems in that sense. But I also know, irrespective of Krishnaji, that there must, the very imperatives of the human situation demand that there must be a source of energy which once touched, which will physically transform our ways of looking at things.
Will that become an ideal?
No, I'm not talking of an ideal. I'm not talking of an ideal. And while Krishnaji is here, I think it is my function, my dharma, to probe into this consciousness, to inquire, to investigate, to try and contact, to somehow come face to face with this.
But if I might play the devil's advocate for a moment, the fact is it is an idea. That's the fact. You presented it. It's definitely, in fact, an idea.
What do you call an idea, sir?
I mean, in other words, it's a...
No. Stick to what is an idea?
My sense of an idea is a thought that displays or, so to speak, presents a construct of perception. In other words, it presents or shows the way or ordering of a perception.
Frankly, I don't see it.
Sir, why don't we go back to my original question?
Sir, just let me finish this one thing.
I don't see it as an idea.
No, just me. when you use the, forgive me, sir, when you use the word idea, the word, I'm not talking the whole movement of ideas and so on, the meaning of that word.
The meaning of the word idea is that I have a...
You're going on. The very root meaning of that word.
I think the root meaning of the word, it has to do with display, with show.
No. But the root meaning of Greek and Latin and all the rest of it means, no, to observe. Forgive me, look up in a dictionary, you will see it means that.
Okay, well,
To perceive.
okay.
Which means what? To perceive that flower, that thing there, and not make an idea of it.
That's etymological double talk.
No, it's not a etymological double talk. Observe only, not make an abstraction of what is observed.
That's not the sense in which we nowadays use this word, sir.
Well, nowadays it is misused.
But take its present.
Still, we have to.
No. I'm going to stick to this point because it is so.
But even if you take its present usage, idea is something which I move towards.
I hear a statement from you or from Dr. Schoenberg. Why should I make an idea of it? You answer me that question.
I think it is a part of our memory functioning. That's what.
Yes, Narayan, but you have to answer. Why can't I see something that fly, no, that thing that is there, and only observe? Why idea?
Without seeing it as a fly, I don't see the fly at all.
Oh, that thing that's moving there, sir. I may not call it a fly, I may call it something, but that thing.
But the whole act, Krishnji, of perception in the nervous system is an organization of that form.
Organization, not of that form.
In the case of this,
But I name it as a fly.
no. First, you must have seen it as a form in order to name it as a fly.
I see, sir. Look, let's go into a little more.
Are you saying you can see the form without naming it?
Why can't you?
That's okay. But that doesn't matter because once you've got the form...
Don't say okay. That's what. Where are we? What are we all talking about?
Nature of this perception,
Nature of this perception.
pure observation, as you call it.
Yes.
Sir, it's not perception of the form on the same level as the perception of the form as the fly?
I don't know.
Because I identify that form as a form. It's not nothing.
Can I observe you, sir? You observe me. Without forming a conclusion, without forming an idea about me?
That's possible.
Will you do it?
I question that.
No, what, you see, sir, this leads us to, we started out discussing what is the place of knowledge in a religious life. Well, let's start from there again and move along. We said knowledge is destroying the world without this religious mind. Then we started asking, what is a religious mind? Let's keep to that and forget perception and all that. Drop all that. Now, what is a religious mind?
I don't know.
You don't know. Then how will you investigate something you don't know? if we want to find out what is a religious life, because I'll go into it, culture is disappearing, old culture. A religion, a religious mind can bring about a different culture, only religious mind. Now, and we say, I don't know what that religious mind. How will you inquire into something that you don't know? Right? Will you accept that?
Sir, we inquire only in a matter where we don't have knowledge. Where
Yes.
we don't know, we inquire.
That's what we're doing.
Yes.
He says, I don't know what a religious life is. Let's inquire.
The first query that arises out of that, with what instruments do you
First of all, I use the intellect, reason, logic, sanity,
and the
not
senses.
accepting any authority.
And the senses.
Of course, that's implied. Senses, logic, reason, which means all that implies sanity, without any illusion, without a make-believe, without a belief dictating my inquiry. That means a mind that is free to look, right? Would you? Now, let's proceed from there.
But, sir, the difficulty is,
Huh?
in the very statement of that, you've annihilated the whole premise.
What?
You've annihilated the whole premise.
Which is what?
Which is the structure of human consciousness.
So, all right. So what is human consciousness?
Structure of human consciousness is thought, belief, movement, becoming. I can keep
And
on.
being,
I
asserting,
can keep on.
dogmas,
Duality.
the no, put it in a very small few words, the whole movement of thought. Right? Right, sir? Would you agree to that?
I agree.
So, consciousness is the whole movement of thought with its content. I believe I'm a Hindu, I believe in puja, I believe you're my guru, I worship, I pray, I'm anxious, I'm afraid. All that is the movement of thought. And the content of my consciousness is this whole spectrum of movement.
I ask, what place has this word sanity which you use?
What?
What place has the word sanity which you use in this totality
Yes.
of consciousness?
One's consciousness is an insane consciousness.
I think you imply something more than that when you say sanity. Do you imply that sanity is not caught in make-believe?
Yes.
I think that is the
Sanity means sane, healthy body.
no make-believe.
No make-believe. When I don't pretend I'm healthy when I'm ill. I don't pretend that I do puja and that leads me to some heaven. I say that's nonsense. So sanity means a healthy mind, a healthy body, a healthy inwardness. Without sanity, a health, clear health.
Because you use these words frequently. You say logical, reasonable, sane.
Yeah.
When you say sane, it's much more than being reasonable or logical.
Of course. That's why we use it at the end.
Yes.
That's why I asked what is this relationship to the state of
Yes.
consciousness, because
If one is not sane, can one inquire without
No,
sanity?
how can I be sane when I'm a business lawyer and go off and to do puja? I mean, it's insanity.
In other words, you
So-
are no contradiction.
no. In other words, this consciousness, which has all these elements, can never inquire
That's right.
Because
agree.
it's full of
I
contradictions.
agree. That's what I'm saying.
So one has to establish sanity first.
I'm saying that. I'm saying that. How can I, Narayan, how can I do puja, ceremonial, and hold on to that with grim death and inquire into something which I don't know?
What I am trying to
And
suggest
so
is
silly.
there is something, it's little more subtle than that. Knowledge and the acquisition of knowledge with all the memory functioning, there is some kind of insanity in this.
I agree.
Yes. It is not that I'm a lord at one side and do puja, I don't do. But still, in spite of not doing this, in the very human situation, acquisition of knowledge.
I mean, it
and-
doesn't mean I'm saying because I don't do puja.
Yes.
Yes.
Something.
I may be insane because I'm a lawyer.
That's right, yes.
So it doesn't
I'm
mean.
insane because I'm jealous or envious.
So one's human consciousness is a bundle of contradictions, bundle of hopes, illusions, fears, pleasures, anxiety and sorrow and all that.
You see,
I mean, wait, can that consciousness find a religious way of life? Obviously it can't.
No, you say sanity is a necessary premise, one of the necessary premises to start right inquiry. But this consciousness, which is inquiring, is full of contradictions.
So I stop inquiring into what is a religious life, I inquire into my consciousness. I drop the religious life because as contradictory, fearful, puja worshipping, seeking power, seeking money, such a mind cannot understand the other or even capable of inquiry. So I say, all right, I drop religious inquiry into religious life and I say, what is my consciousness? And I go back into that. That's my inquiry.
you see, Krishnji,
That's sane, logical sanity.
in all traditional ways of approach to this whole content of consciousness is symbolized by the I. And the inquiry is into the nature and dissolution of the I.
All right, let's stick to that. Let's work at it. We say a religious life, in religious life, there is a total absence of the self. Wait. Then my inquiry is whether the self can be dissolved. Not into my religious life, because that's stupid, and I can't inquire when I'm blind, when I'm caught up in my particular passion or my particular puja, I worship some blinking guru. It's stupid. So I say, what's my consciousness? I begin from there and see if it is possible to empty totally that consciousness.
What is the nature of that inquiry?
I'm doing it now. So can I be free from attachment? Can I be free from my daily little absurd puja? Can I be free from my nationalism? Can I be free from following some authority? I go on. So that my consciousness is totally devoid of its contradictions and all that. I hope that silences you. Huh? Let's start. I was only joking, sir. Sorry. Let's start inquiring whether it's possible to be aware totally, holistically of our consciousness. If it is not possible, let's take fragment by fragment, and will that bring about a comprehension of the total perception of consciousness. You understand what I mean? Now, so you open, you go on, sir. I've talked enough.
Sir, would you not be open to the charge of being intellectual in your inquiry?
No. I put my heart into it. I don't just inquire up here. It's my whole being, as you use that word, it's my whole being inquiring. My heart, my affection, my nerves, my senses, my intellect, my thought, everything is involved in this inquiry.
Sir, you have just set the condition of this inquiry. Now,
you are a scientist, sir. Can you inquire into something with, You observe.
Yes.
And that very observation changes that which is being observed. Right?
Right.
So why can't you do that with yourself?
Because my attention wanders.
I know it won't. If when you are scientist, you are looking. Your attention isn't gone away.
But that is actually...
No, why? Why there your attention is completely involved? You understand? Your thought doesn't wander away. Your whole being is involved in your observation. Right?
No, this is not quite right in a scientific observation.
Which means what?
Because there are additional supports from, for example, from colleagues,
Yes,
from
yes,
instruments.
yes. But when you are looking, in spite of your acquiring knowledge, colleagues, your previous knowledge, you put all that aside, you are watching. That's all I'm saying. The very watching is the transformation of that which is being observed.
Yes, but one thing gets in the way right there is that the origin of the action of the watching has in it a desire to be different.
No.
That's the hook.
No, I know that's the hook. Modern world.
But sir, I want to return to this question, and maybe I'm not expressing it rightly, that if I observe myself...
Yes, sir. Now we're talking, all right.
I think it is a fact for me that my attention wanders after...
Wait. Let's begin step by step. I'm watching myself. I can only watch myself is a bundle of reactions.
Yes.
Right? I begin with things which are very near to me, which is puja. I watch it, I look at it. And I don't say, well, it pleases me because I'm used to it. Follow? I say it's absurd, I put it away. Whatever. I never touch rituals. Right?
It doesn't seem to work like that.
Because your habit of...
Yes, that's right.
Wait, so go into habit. Why you have a habit, a mind that functions in habit, which means a mind that's mechanical. Why is it mechanical? Because it's very safe to be mechanical. Security. And this repetition of a puja which gives you security, has it any real security in it? Or you have invested security in it?
Yes, I follow this.
And therefore, wipe it away, gone.
No, this is where the difficulty is. I can see my mechanicalness or being caught in habit, but that does not seem to lead to what you seem to suggest of cutting away.
No, because your mind is still functioning in a habit. You haven't tackled the habit. I'm not talking about puja.
No, habit.
Habit, why do you have a habit? Is there a good habit and bad habit, or only a habit? The habit of wanting money, the habit of wanting power, position, status. It's a habit, a tradition. Right? So, why are you caught in it? I'm not saying you.
No, it applies to me. So
Oh,
that's
good.
all right.
Good. Why are you quoting it? So let's come back. We are saying a consciousness that is in a turmoil, in contradiction, wandering from one thing, the battle that's going on. As long as that consciousness is there, you can never perceive purely. Obvious, right? So, is it possible to bring about in consciousness a total absence of this movement of contradiction, all the rest of it?
I will say something else.
Sorry I occupied so long. Now you all carry on. I'll shut up.
You see, sir, one can see the truth of the repetitiveness, the mechanical action of puja, and really it's out of my system. Or seeking certain other things, fragment by fragment, one has seen several fragments, the truth of it, and left. Even then, as you are saying, the totality of consciousness, perceiving and ending totally is the problem, not to end one fragment. And Krishnaji, are you saying that sequentially we see fragment by fragment?
You can never come to the end of fragmentation.
That's what we see after 10 years, 15 years.
You can't. Therefore, you must say, now is there an observation which a total observation of the thing?
That's the only question which
I'm asking you. Total observation of the whole structure of our society, the governments, the rottenness of it all, the communists, the socialists, the Karl Marx, the whole of it. And not go, well, I 1 year I'm pro Marxism, next year I'm something else, third year I've dropped all that and I go back to my own tradition, and all the rest. To have a perception of this whole thing.
Sir, we are back again to my original question.
Yes, sir.
That through our universities, through all our present processes of education, what happens is our fragmentedness gets emphasized, and our intellect is able to show us the rational, sane, inevitable necessity for perceiving that man's existence cannot be divided. We see this, but our whole way of knowledge is like this.
No,
way
no.
of perception is fragmented. You see this. You start from there, no more externalizing the situation.
Achuji, I hear this statement that through fragmentation of examining the fragments in my consciousness is endless and can never be resolved that way. Now, just a minute. A statement of that kind is made. Have I listened to it? Have I understood deeply in my heart, in my blood, in my whole being, that fragment approach to the fragment and examining fragmentation will never solve it. So, I've understood that, therefore I won't touch it. I won't go near a guru, I won't out. Because they're all dealing with fragments. The communists, the socialists, the gurus, the religions, everything is fragmented, including a human being.
Can I see the implications of all the implications at this point?
Yes.
Or have I to work it out?
No, working out is a fragmentation.
In seeing all the thing is not enumeration, but there is something else. When you say that all the implications is not one of enumeration.
Which means what brings about fragmentation? I can't see the whole because my whole nature and thinking and living is fragmented. So I see, what is the root of this fragmentation? Why? Why have I divided into nations and religions and man? You follow the whole thing. Why?
I say, if the mind says it is the I-ness, it is
I know.
only an answer. It's the mind sees.
That is intellectual answer.
It's an intellect. Yes, it is seeing.
So you're already, no, I said to you, please listen. I said, and there is a statement like that. How do you listen to that statement? Listening with the intellect is a fragmentation. Listening with the, hearing with the ear is a fragmentation. Do you listen with your whole entire being? Or is just, yes, quite right, it's a good idea, it's this, that.
I wanted to say a few things. Listen so long.
Don't address me, sir. There is the whole public.
First of all, I'm very chagrined by this attack on knowledge. Either it is a wrong definition or it is a hang-up. It is not the knowledge which is doing the thing, but it is the functioning of it. So let me then therefore go back to the question that you had discussed yesterday and which you have so courteously told me this morning. What is a religious life? I don't know what is a religious life, but I do have a definition of sanctified life. Everyone has their own favorite definitions, and I want to steer clear of religions. Sanctified life, I see it in the following fashion. It is the cessation of the contradiction between causality and spontaneity. Most of the world around us is causal. There is this being so, this happens. If this has happened, it must have been because of such and such a thing. Why did this happen? How shall I do it? All these contain comparisons, all these contain copies. If you cannot copy a system, then you cannot talk about a law for the system. And therefore, there is much of the world, of our experience, which we talk about in terms of causality. On the other hand, fortunately, we are also subject to experience of spontaneity, experience of movement with no cause, movement without any purpose, movement without either beginning or end, movement without time. One in which there is only functioning without a purpose, without a cause, without an antecedent, without a condition. And much of life, the problem of life, is in fact reconciling these two things, because somehow or other one feels that these two are both real experiences, and one has memory of both these things, and one would like to resolve it. Now, as far as I have observed, it appears to me that when you are in the spontaneous mode of functioning, there is in fact no possibility of it being broken down. When you are happy, when you are, then there is no question of anxiety about something. If at any time you feel that I would like to continue this mood, then of course that mood has already ceased, because you are limited. You have a string. If you have come to the end of the string, to find out how long the string is, you have come to the end. You don't no longer have the string. Any time when you want to maintain an experience which you already have, in time, already the corruption is set in, and it is only a matter of time before it will come to an end. Therefore, the whole question of how to end fragmentation, why does the fragmentation come in, are all questions which are functioning within the fragmented being. And within the fragmented being, it is sort of like trying to wash off mud, standing in mud. Anytime you wash off one thing, you have to stand on the other leg, and then again you get back. You can of course be relatively clean, but you can never be completely clean. So the only way out of this particular system is in fact to transcend this particular system of in fact not being in fragmentation. Again, observation, it is not by any particular method by means of which you do it, but in fact some things seem to help with regard to the thing. That there are two modes of functioning, one mode of functioning in which one is fragmented and another mode in which one is not fragmented. If you do have memories of both these things, it seems to me that the easiest way is not to be particularly anxious about not being fragmented. That we have no method of bringing about an end to fragmentation by any process. We cannot logically conceive it, we cannot dictate the rule, we cannot legislate it, we cannot write a manual about it. Therefore, in a certain sense, when it comes by itself. If you are anxious that that is in fact the only true mode of existence, when you are in the fragmented mode, you are just going to be more and more anxious about it.
So what do you do?
So what I do is, in a sense, to be humble about the whole thing and then say, now I am fragmented. It's not very nice, and leave it at that. Don't work very hard about anything. Don't even try to end fragmentation, because this is another mode of...
You go on with your puja, you go on with your gurus, you go on with your business, you go on with your this and that, and carry on. Is that it?
I don't know.
It is, I'm fragmented, let's carry on.
It's not a case of I am fragmented and let us carry on. In the fragmented mode, you try to perceive.
No, wait, sir. You said I carry on. As being fragmented, I live a fragmented life and recognize it, and so live it.
Krishnaji, if you could tell me how to end fragmentation by
I'll tell you.
process.
I will tell you.
If you could tell me how to end fragmentation by
I will
process,
tell you, sir.
You become part of this whole system which you already cried.
No, not as a process. Not ending fragmentation as a process. Because once you say it's a process, it can become a mechanistic or a system.
No, and what Krishnaji is saying, which is different from all other previous approaches to
Yes,
this,
right.
is time as a factor to end fragmentation.
Pardon?
Time as a factor to end
Denial
fragmentation.
of time.
Denial of time.
It seems to me, Krishnaji, one of the things that's emerging here, at least clearly really clearly, is that there's something about the very framework of thought that conditions and limits the very perception and fragmentation.
Right, sir.
That framework.
Thought is fragmentary.
Right. And that framework.
Thought is not in that frame. Thought is always fragmentary. Right?
Right.
So that is the root of fragmentation. Can thought stop? Right? Ask it. Can it stop?
Just stop.
Not periodically, occasionally, spontaneous. To me, that's all that implies a movement in time.
As long as you are thinking.
That I said so. Thought is the root of fragmentation. So, thought being a movement, and so time is a movement, can time stop?
May I make a slight distinction?
This is not
Free for all.
play, throw the ball.
Yeah. You say thought is the cause of fragmentation. I ask the question, where did the thought arise in the unfragmented state to fragment it?
Huh?
Where did the thought arise in the unfragmented state to fragment it?
No, I'm not interested in whether it's unfragmented.
I am afraid you cannot answer that.
I will.
What is the matrix?
You see, you're all.
His question is something else. Given a non-fragmented condition,
There isn't such thing.
that's what.
You didn't. He asked the statement of yours, a non-fragmented state. Where did that statement arise? In the fragmented state or the non-fragmented state?
That's quite understood. Non-fragmented state.
You didn't
No,
complete the sentence.
this is not a laughing matter. This is serious for me. You may say you're cuckoo, buzz off. I'll accept that too.
No, I won't say that.
Thank you. That is, this is really quite important if you want to go into it. We answer always from a fragmented mind. Right, sir?
No,
Yeah. I said generally.
generally.
And is there a speaking which comes of non-fragmented mind? That's why I'm asking.
Is speaking?
Speaking. Speaking means thinking, saying. You follow? Be careful here.
Not sure I follow your terminology.
I may not, I'm using bad terminology probably. I'm trying to answer it very quickly. We said thought is fragment, is the cause of fragmentation.
You said that, I temporarily accepted it so that we can discuss it.
Don't temporarily accept it.
No, what I'm saying is that if I was actually going to raise the question that we see fragmentation and thought together.
That's all.
To say one is the cause of the other one involves knowledge which is not.
Cause and effect are the same here.
So they coexist. They are aspects of the same entity.
Yes.
Okay, good. No
We are
objection.
both clever. I'm not clever, sir. I don't envy.
I think you are cleverer than me.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I hope I'm not clever. I mean it, I'm not. I'm talking from a depth which is non-fragmented. Full stop. You may believe it, you may not believe it. I don't care. I'm not trying to impress you. Throw me out. But I say, thought and fragment are the same movement. It's the same thing, sir. Whether one or the other, it's the same thing. And which is part of time. So I ask, can time stop? Psychological time, inward. The whole movement stop completely. Which is no movement of thought at all. You are stuck. I say, I'm not asking you to believe it or not believe it, question me, tear it to pieces. There is a cessation of time, which is not, I don't become time, or I don't, my being isn't time. There is nothing. Which means, is love time? Go on, sir.
I am completely with you.
Not argument. Have you that love? There's no good arguing, so you come back and forth, we can discuss this everlastingly. But as love is not of time. 11 o'clock, right, we better stop. We'll continue one more day, sir.
I won't be here, sir.
You won't be here? What shall I do?